Hello and welcome to my channel. Today we're going to look at Microsoft Flight Simulator and the flight training. The first section is basic handling, which covers 8 different stages. And now let's have a look at the introduction.
Welcome to Sedona. I'm Captain Mike Barnes, and I'll be your instructor. For this lesson, we're going to start on the ground and focus on some basic concepts. Fundamentals every pilot needs to know before hitting the skies. This is your plane, a classic, the Cessna 152. Take a look around it. In the simulator, anytime you want, you can easily switch to cursor mode. The cursor is handy for interacting with menus and cockpit controls or instruments. As you can see, activating the cursor also displays the toolbar. The toolbar is a quick access menu that allows you to control various aspects of the simulation. Try to find and open the basic controls panel. The basic controls panel is a useful reminder of the button layout for the devices you're currently using. Now try to find and open the camera panel in the toolbar. The camera panel allows you to access the various views and camera modes of the simulation. Go ahead and close all the panels for now. Right now, we are in the external view mode. Let's switch to cockpit view next. In front of you is the yoke, the primary means of controlling the aircraft. In the simulation, you'll be controlling the aircraft with your peripherals of choice. So let's hide the yoke for now. Some instruments allow multiple interactions. For example, rotating a dial clockwise or counterclockwise. In these cases, you need to lock the cursor onto them in order to interact. For example, take a look at the clock in the middle of the dashboard. Go ahead and lock the cursor on it. Now change the clock time. You can unlock the cursor once you're ready. From now on, we're done with the cursor, so go ahead and hide it. All right, as we've seen, when you want to look around you, it's easy to rotate the camera. But you can also move it freely in the cockpit to get a better view of anything you want to see, even through a window to look outside. Pro tip, once you find a camera position you like, you can save a shortcut to easily get back to that view anytime. Now reset the camera to its original position, then try switching to your custom one again. All right, that covers all the main camera functions available in the simulation. Try to familiarize yourself with them a bit more, then reset the camera to its original position whenever you're done. Nicely done. This session is all about getting familiar with the aircraft, in this case a Cessna 152. Along the way, we'll cover a few commands to navigate through the skies. In front of you is the yoke. Think of the yoke like a steering wheel. Turn it left or right to control the ailerons and bank the aircraft into turns. Take a look at the trailing edge of the wing while you're turning the yoke, and you can see how it controls the ailerons. Okay. What makes the yoke different from your typical steering wheel is that you can pull or push on it. This controls the elevator at the back of the aircraft to make it climb or descend. Look at the horizontal tail while you pull on the yoke. You can see the movement of the elevator. Nice. At your feet, you'll find the rudder pedals. On the ground, they'll help you steer the aircraft. The upper part of the pedals are also your brakes. In flight, they move the rudder on the vertical stabilizer to yaw the aircraft. That's mainly for small adjustments, to coordinate your turns or compensate for a plane's left-leaning tendencies during takeoff and climb. Look at the vertical stabilizer while operating the pedals to see their effect on the rudder. Nicely done. Next up, located near the center of your cockpit, is the throttle. Push forward to increase the power. Pull back to decrease it. Look at the throttle and select it. Keep it selected and push it forward to increase power. Power is increased. Now pull it back to decrease power. Power is decreased. Now we'll do the same without focusing on it. Deselect the throttle. Look away from the throttle and increase power. Set throttle to idle. Great job. When the engine is on, any change in power will be reflected on the RPM indicator. Check it out on the right side of the dashboard. This tells you how fast the engine is spinning in hundreds of revolutions per minute. To see your speed, look for the airspeed indicator. It's on the left side of the main instrument panel. It measures the speed in knots. For an altitude reading, check your altimeter. It's located on the right side of the main instrument panel. The altimeter has 3 hands, similar to a clock. The long, thick pointer indicates 100-foot intervals. The short, thick one is 1,000-foot intervals, and the long, thin one, 10,000-foot intervals. And with that, we're done here. In our next lesson, though, you'll get to see how it all feels in the air.
So now that we have learned how to look around using the camera and had an introduction to some of the important instruments on the instrument panel and some of the flight controls as well. So now we are ready to take to the skies.
Welcome to the skies above Sedona. Hell of a view, isn't it? Let's begin our time together going over some basic controls. Starting with your eyes, get familiar with your surroundings. Take a look out your side windows. Visibility is optimal today. These are ideal conditions to take in all Sedona has to offer. See if you can locate the airport down below. Look for the runway. It's hard to miss. That's an affirmative. We have visual confirmation on the airport. We already talked about basic controls while we were on the ground. Time to see how it all feels in the air. We're currently set to a cruise attitude. the position your aircraft should be in for regular flight. Now let's try making a turn with a gentle yoke movement. I'll show you what I'm talking about. As a general rule, you always want to keep your turns under 30 degrees. Try banking to the right. You have controls. Turn right toward the city of Sedona. That'll work. As we're flying towards Sedona, let's try climbing up and down. Gently pull back on the yoke to climb. Give it a try. Great job. For the descent, it's the same principle, except you're pushing on the yoke. Have a go at it. Gently pitch down. That'll work. Remember where the airport is? Look around to find it again, then turn us in the right direction. Great job. Now that you're more familiar with the aircraft and the surroundings, the next step is to go deeper into handling and techniques. Soon enough, you'll be able to enjoy trips all on your own.
Now we've completed some basic flight training, it's time to learn how to use some of the basic controls. It's time to ramp it up a little bit and make it a little bit more difficult over the next 5 stages.
To help demonstrate pitch, I've drawn 3 lines on the windshield. Notice how the middle line matches the horizon while we're flying level. This is the cruise attitude. The lower dotted line is the climb attitude, and the upper one is the descent attitude. Let's dig deeper into what that means. Pull back gently on the yoke until the climb attitude line matches the horizon, then maintain that attitude. On your altimeter, you can see you're gaining altitude. However, you're losing airspeed. Not a sustainable situation. Great job. All right, level back out. Our speed is increasing, and our altitude is stable. All right. Push gently on the yoke until the descent attitude line matches the horizon. Then maintain that attitude. For the nose down attitude, it's no surprise altitude is decreasing and speed is on the rise. Nicely done. Why don't you bring us back to level flight? There you go. Speed is decreasing, altitude is stable. Nice. All right. Great job. Being able to maintain a precise and stable attitude is key to performing all types of maneuvers.
As you can see, it's become a bit more difficult to get a perfect score. But don't worry about it. You can come back and try again later.
For this lesson, we're going to use a line drawn on the windshield to indicate the cruise attitude. I've also added another dotted line to help you bank properly for left turns. Gently move the yoke to the left until the dotted line matches up with the horizon, then maintain that bank. That'll work. Watch your altitude. It wasn't constant during the turn. Go ahead and level us back out. All right. For the next step, turning to the right, let's see how you do on your own without any markings. On your attitude indicator, you'll find a series of notches along the top. Each notch represents 10 degrees. As a general rule, you should always aim to keep your turns under 30 degrees. Start banking right until you're lined up with the second notch to the right of the attitude indicator. Maintain that 20-degree bank while remaining at the same altitude. That'll work. Keep working to maintain a constant altitude during the turn. Level us back out now. Nicely done. Small corrections on the yoke will lead to more accurate turns. Let's talk about the throttle. Simply put, your throttle controls the power output of the engine. In the Cessna 152, that relates directly to the RPM displayed on the tachometer. Pull back the throttle to reduce RPM to 1800. Notice how speed and altitude are also decreasing now. Great job. Why don't you go ahead and throttle back up to 2400 RPM? All right, speed is increasing. And as long as we maintain the same attitude, our altitude will keep climbing too. Nice. All right, great job. With piston planes like this Cessna, it's common to have power targets defined in RPM. In this lesson, let's take a look at the relationship between attitudes and power settings. Attitude plus power equals performance. We're currently at 5,500 feet in a cruise attitude. The aircraft's nose is positioned under the horizon and cruise power is at 2,300 RPM. Try to reduce power to 2,000 RPM while maintaining 5,500 feet. That'll work. You probably noticed, to maintain altitude, you need to pitch the nose up. You could just keep pulling on the yoke to hold steady, but that's not really a precise means of control. The optimal approach is to adjust your trim wheel until you no longer need to push or pull on the yoke. Drag the trim down when you need to set the nose up. Drag it up to set the nose down. Try adding trim to keep us at 5,500 feet without increasing throttle. That'll work. You're far too high right now. Increase power to 2,300 RPM while maintaining 5,500 feet. Get us back to a cruise attitude. Great job. Now adjust the trim. That'll work. Not perfect, but it'll work. In my experience, when you adjust the trim, you make course changes at first to remove pressure on the yoke. After that, you make small adjustments to find the perfect setting to keep your desired attitude. If you feel your pitch slipping and need to get back to the proper attitude, don't worry. Just pull on the yoke, then dial in the right trim. That's the key to straight and level flight. The art of maneuvering a plane through the air isn't a mystery to you anymore. Now it's time to test the skills you've learned. As you can see, we're cruising at 6,000 feet on a north heading of 360 degrees. Start by descending to 5,500 feet while maintaining a northerly heading. While descending, reduce throttle to avoid overspeed. That'll work. Now, climb to 6,000 feet and turn to a south heading. On the Cessna 152, you need full power to climb effectively. That'll work. All right, next exercise. Maintain your heading of 180 degrees. Stay at 6,000 feet and adjust your airspeed to 80 knots. All right. All right, great job.
And there you go, all 8 levels of Stage 1, Basic Handling. I hope you enjoyed your flight. See you at the next stage. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope to see you at Stage 2, Takeoff and Landing. If you like it, just don't forget to hit the like below or hit notify and see when I post my next video. Thanks for watching.